letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that could save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I lost my hammer like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh.
The new Disney Marvel superhero movie is this week's top film in North America. Thor Ragnarok earned an estimated $121 million in its first weekend, the 17th time in a row that a Marvel comic book hero movie opened with nationwide #1 showings. In second place, A Bad Mom's Christmas, which debuted with nearly $22 million. In third place, Jigsaw. Fourth place, Tyler Perry's Boo 2. And in fifth place, Geostorm.
The way you're fitting in pants into the...
Diddy can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because he's got a whole new name.
I decided to change my name again. So my new name is Love, a.k.a. Brother Love.
So if you knew him as Sean Combs or the artist formerly known as Diddy, Puffy, Puff Daddy, now you need to know him exclusively as Brother Love. Curb Your Enthusiasm star Larry David is in hot water with Saturday Night Live viewers about making a joke about the Holocaust that's being slammed as insensitive, where he discusses how there are no good opening lines to pick up women at a concentration camp.
How's it going?
And Kanye West is coming back harder, better, faster, and stronger 1 year after a mental breakdown forced him to cancel his St. Pablo tour.
All right, 30 seconds.
To the stage Saturday night for the first
So no guests, right?
No. Joining Kid Cudi's rendition of Father Stretch My Hand.
Of course, you know the Saints win, so nobody's going to call. Sons of bitches.
Exactly.
Radio.
We'll be all right. Lots to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good, doesn't it? The next keyword is minutes away on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Jeff's scurried coffee transfer just now.
Work.
Glad you can make it, Jeffrey.
He just spilled it all over the equipment. It's catching on fire. Dunc and Holder on a Monday, November 6th. Very appropriate date, giving the Saints have now won 6 in a row. Battering, bruising, antagonizing, maybe in their eyes at least, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 30-10. A rockin' Superdome yesterday. And look, if you don't think that this team is for real right now, usually I'm the alarmist, and I'm going to tell you, this team is for real right now. You don't go win 6 games in a row by a fluke. You don't go and beat Tampa Bay by 20 at home, and really the last touchdown comes on a fumbled pump by Willie Snead, and it's a, oh, by the way, touchdown in garbage time. You don't knock out the opposing quarterback. You do all these things when you're a good team. And, Jeff, we are at the season's midpoint as far as the Saints, because now we're through week 9, but they've only played 8 games. But they're 6-2, and right now they are the number 2 seed in the NFC standings. And I was talking to some players last week in the locker room saying, is it too early to look at standings? They said, yes, it is. But, of course, it's not too early for us. And at the midpoint, you've got to be feeling really good if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, or if you're Sean Payton or Drew Brees or anybody on Airline Drive right now.
You make a great point. I was just doing some statistical research this morning, and the Saints are number 4 in the NFL in point differential, and they're number 4 in the NFL in yards differential. You can't, sometimes stats are misleading. Not in this case. I mean, I think they're very illustrative of what is going on with this team. I mean, they're ranking in the team that really is standing out right now, the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Saints and the Rams and the Eagles right now are clearly the 3 best teams, not only in the NFC, I think they're the 3 best teams in the NFL. And the Saints are number 2 in the entire league right now. And if you did a draft, right now. They would be number 2 in the entire league second to last. So it shows you where they're ranked.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Philadelphia's number 1. The Saints are actually higher than in the AFC.
I was about to say, what do you mean? Like they're drafting players or something?
No. What I mean is if they had a draft, that's how high they're ranked.
Okay.
In the ranking. Obviously, there'll be an AFC team in the Super Bowl ahead of them, or one way or the other. But point is, they are higher than any AFC right now. Any AFC team, and I think they're not a fluke. They're built to last because they can run the ball. We saw that yesterday. They ran for over 150 yards with Kamara and with Ingram, and the defense is legit. I mean, it's not a dominant defense. I don't think it's a defense that's going to carry you to a Super Bowl, but it's certainly better than anything they've had and good enough to win a Super Bowl if you can get that far. I don't know if this team can get that far or not. They got a lot of football to play, but they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is going to be, say, a midpoint in the season where you can reflect back on what they've done. And then you've got 8 more games where, okay, you're going to be answering questions. Specifically this week, I know I'm going to write a column, 10 question marks going forward in the final 8 games of the season. And they do have question marks for sure because it's not all clean. And I think that's still a big kudos to the Saints. It hasn't been all clean. It's still been some wacky mishaps. Just look at this game you had yesterday in the Dome. Wacky mishaps. An extra point gets blocked. You have 2 fumbles on punt returns. 1 gets recovered by Tampa. Look, then special teams, you have the Tommy Lee Lewis tries to use the color of his jersey to shield himself in the letter S.
That didn't work too well.
And Sean Payton gave the most elaborate goat noise we've heard all season with the I don't think that was a what did he say? I think that was a dud. Yeah, I think that was a dud.
I mean, I like the thought. It does tell you a little bit about Sean Payton and the coaching staff's attention to detail, and that they waited until obviously they saw something on Tampa Bay tape that indicated they could make this lateral crossfield lateral, but then they waited till they were in all black uniforms. So Tommy Lee Lewis, the smallest player on the team, could hide in the black S in the end zone in the all-black uniforms and then get up. And look, if it had worked, it would have been one of the greatest calls in history. But it was a total dud from an execution standpoint because Ted Ginn Jr. threw it looked like a Larry Holder type pass across the field.
He made it about 30 yards farther than me, but it was a one-hopper to Tommy Lee Lewis. Credit him for scooping it up. Imagine if it flies out the end zone and it's a safety. I mean, but hey, at least give him credit for that. But still, guess what the Saints do? They turn a negative into a positive and take it 90-something yards for a touchdown. Huge momentum changer in this game. So just our typical Monday show. We have no guests. We leave it open to your phone calls and your reaction. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved, and we're going to be hearing some audio from yesterday's game from Sean Payton, from Cam Jordan, from Terron Armstead, and of course the 2 players who have now become spotlighted from this game, Marshon Lattimore and Mike Evans. And Jeff, that was an ugly, ugly scene given from the start. What is Jameis Winston doing on the field? Hurt, and he decides to stick his nose out there just to be, I don't know, just say, hey, I can do whatever I want and get on the field and try to show you to get back on the other side of the field. Marshon Lattimore, of course, and it wasn't like Lattimore drilled him at all. He just kind of like shrugged him off, and Mike Evans comes over and goes missile, blindside, Jesse James in the back style, and could have done some serious damage to Marshon Lattimore, and it's no wonder Sean Payton went absolutely and rightfully so ballistic. He's running halfway across the field while Dirk Cutter is pretending he's like a librarian. He's just looking at his play sheet and just letting his players act like maniacs.
I actually, the more I watch the replay, the more I think that Jameis Winston was more at fault than Mike Evans. I didn't realize Evans blindsided, but he's reacting to somebody going after his quarterback. But what is Jameis Winston doing on the field, talking trash? His team's getting punked. To me, it goes back to, I watched Hard Knocks. I know that's just a slice of a very limited picture of Jameis Winston, but he did not strike me as a great leader in any of that. And that is not how a great leader acts on the sideline. Can you imagine Drew Brees ever doing something like that? I mean, come on. So I know everybody's different, but to me, all he did was just stir up a fracas, and he comes across, and I don't want to be too harsh on him because he was playing injured yesterday, and I have to give him credit for playing through an injury, but he comes across as a guy that wants to be all the things you need to be, but just maybe doesn't have it. And there's something to be said about that. I think he's well-intentioned. He wants to be a great leader. He knows what he needs to do, but it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to be able to do it. And I just haven't seen it. He hasn't progressed to me, and the Bucs have hung their hat on him, and they're going nowhere. They're 2-6 now.
Well, it's amazing. You look at the quarterbacks that have been drafted, say, in the classes after him, and they have progressed. And you kind of just look, unfortunately, even at this year, because Deshaun Watson would be in that conversation. But look, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz. I know I'm missing some quarterbacks already off the top of my head. But look, they have less experience than him, and they're developing quick.
Dak Prescott.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dak Prescott. That's no question about it. But I knew I would be missing one that's like a no-brainer. But, yeah, look, it doesn't matter. The Saints went out and shut them down. There's a reason why you go out and you draft a guy like Marshon Lattimore, because you want a guy who's going to shut down their top receiver, and boy, did they ever shut down Mike Evans. Deshaun Jackson was a non-factor. I think the Saints did a good job in the way they used coverage on Deshaun Jackson, because Ken Crawley they played the zone very well between Crawley and Marcus Williams. They had the big pass breakup down the sideline. Crawley played up the right way. Marcus Williams came over and covered the backside, bracketed it the exact right way, breaks up the pass, and you can't say enough about the Saints defense. And I think it's hilarious that we haven't spoken a word. We've been talking for about 10 minutes now. Not one word about Drew Brees.
I know, and he had a great game. Again,
very efficient, very much getting involved. So absolutely.
Well, it says a lot about what we've talked about, you've written about, is this team can win in different ways, and that's not been the case for about 3 or 4 years. They're finally able to do some things. And look, I know the special teams were shaky in the second half, but that was the biggest play of the first half by far, along with Alvin Kamara's touchdown, was Justin Hardy's punt block. I mean, statistically, you block a punt for a touchdown, you're going to win a game.
Absolutely. It's at the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. The most loyal Saints fan on the West Coast. I'm going to just make that grand proclamation. Josh in Sacramento. Josh, thanks for calling Duncan Holder. You got it, bud.
I appreciate that title. Just watching the game, I'm still worried about the Saints. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but I'm still a little worried. We have a turnover problem. I'm sorry to be the wet towel of the group, but we have a turnover problem.
Charles Metairie.
Turn the ball over. But I really think there's a problem. Like, we need to, especially we can't have this against the Bills and the Rams. We need to hold on the ball. Hold on to the ball so we can actually look competitive. Because if you look at that, we turned the ball over twice. That's another possibly 14 or 6 points on the board. And that really makes a complete game. I still don't think we played a complete game. So I think that's a huge problem. And did I see a P.J. Williams?
You saw P.J. Williams, yes.
He even had a Bigfoot sighting.
He even had a pass breakup, and look, that goes more to the fact that Kenny Vaccaro got injured at the very end of the first half. They had to call timeout at the end of the first half because there was confusion because Kenny got hurt and came off the sideline, so they had to call timeout, and they basically threw Kenny back out there. He was hurt, and he came off the next play. But yeah, P.J. Williams started playing, that more nickel cornerback because Kenny got hurt, and that's obviously an injury we're going to have to pay attention to. Hey, Josh, appreciate the phone call as always. And look, I do agree. Look, people even said, Larry, you're now jumping the shark and you're being too positive because my column is it's time to go all in on the Saints. And I do think that is one thing, though, that is being stressed in the locker room, that they have not had a complete, crystal clean performance. And I feel like because they haven't, and the fact they still win, and they might win by 8, by 14, by 20, that they're gonna get better. Like I don't think it's gonna be this habitual. Oh my gosh, they're gonna have these problems the whole time. I think they're going to get better and build confidence, and that's why I'm jumping all in now, because the fact that they're 6-2 and they still have some problems that they can correct. It's not a talent problem. It's a let's hang on to the football problem. You can correct those things.
Well, they still have a positive giveaway takeaway ratio. I mean, that's not been the case for a long time with this team. So I think we might be overreacting a little bit to some of the sloppiness in the second half. I mean, once you get a 30-3 lead, your focus, it's human nature to kind of let it wane a little bit. So I'm not going to overreact to that. I mean, this team has never had major ball security problems. They've always ranked near the bottom of the league in fumbles. I mean, they had one year, I think they set an NFL record for fewest fumbles when Pierre Thomas was here. Mark Ingram was fine yesterday. The Alvin Kamara fumble was just, to me, a great play by the defense by Levante David, and just unfortunate timing. He's in the air, leaping over somebody, a hand comes in. Those things are going to happen in the NFL, so I'm not ready to jump the shark on that. I think they're going to be fine.
All right, let's take a break right here on the show. I know we've got Charles and Metairie, DJ, and Nola East. Hang on through the break. We will get to you guys coming up in our next segment. Don't forget, you'll hear from Marshon Lattimore. You'll hear from Terron Armstead, Sean Payton, Cam Jordan, Mike Evans. And, oh, by the way, LSU loses to Alabama. And the sense I get from LSU fan and even from you, Jeff, and from our own Ron Higgins, that there's some positive notes to take from this game, even though, look, if you're LSU, you want to beat Alabama. I want to get into that because it feels like, oh boy, they only lost by 14, and you could point to all these great things, and I'm just like, should LSU ever have moral victories? I just want to get to that. We'll probably get to that in the second hour, but I'm just curious as to why that's an okay reaction at this point, because you expect better from LSU. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm in the minority. But look, we're taking your phone calls, 504-260-1280. Again, Charles, DJ, hang on, and we will get to you guys next here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword money to
so Peter finally
you'll get a text
mentioned the Saints in his column.
I quit looking. Like, seriously.
He interviewed Lattimore and Breeze after the game.
200,
I just quit looking. I'm like,
hey folks, it's Mike.
Of course, this is classic Sean Payton. To us, what does he tell us? I think he told that guy from England, I'm not ready to put these guys in the Hall of Fame. And then to Peter, he says, the significance of this draft class can't be overstated. It's made all the difference. Exact same question.
Where life expresses
he said something about it.
He said, I'm encouraged.
Yeah, because I got a couple of sound bites from him about the rookies and Lattimore in the rookie class.
The best winter rates at 1-800-Atlantis or AtlantisBahamas.com.
I mean, he didn't say anything off the charts, but that's a good quote that he didn't give us. To me, he's like he was in that snark mode.
Updated sections on abusive behavior, self-harm, and graphic violence and adult content. Twitter says it's now made clear that context is important.
Fire drills on punt returns, which he's right. I mean,
and choosing to take action. Social network has been taking some criticism that it's been a haven for hate, violence, and harassment.
I just don't think they're going to,
You can now pester your friends with new GIF and photo Facebook polls. Write your question and 2 answers, and the poll will appear on your profile page. You can add
Steve
photos,
was back there. He's normally not even back
right. For your polls,
I think they were just getting him some experience.
And then you and everyone who votes can see the results. So be aware. The answers are
it could have been, let's see, if they hit Ginn on the play, that's another touchdown, and that's not a turnover. It could have been like 37-3.
iOS and Mac users,
you know, the Bucks are awful, man. They're like in serious trouble.
The Oxford English Dictionary gave the laughing, sobbing face the dubious honor of being the first emoji to hold the position of Word of the Year. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
All right, 1 minute.
Okay. We still got those callers on the line?
You'll buy a little of...
yes, we do.
All right, cool.
Charles, Metairie, DJ, Nola East.
All right, cool.
Who do you want me to text, or y'all using the YouTube phone? Or
you can text me. It's fine. I heard you. Like, I typed it. I wrote it down, but you can text me. I'm not...
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a pro, you work hard for your money. You shouldn't have to work hard to save it.
Up to 15% in bulk discounts on select pro-grade products. Only
so
at the Home
hilarious
Depot.
in the
More
locker room
saving,
afterwards.
more doing. See store for details.
Justin
My
Hardy
son
comes
Aiden
out the
has
shower
asthma.
and he like
Secondhand
sees Herbie and
smoke
he's
has
like,
triggered his
"My
asthma
man,"
so
because Herbie's
badly,
like the only
he
person
ended
to
up in
ever
the
give him
emergency
time of
room
day ever.
and
There's
spent
something to be said
multiple
about
nights
that.
in intensive care.
You know, you identify
Now
some of
he's
these
on a whole
guys
bunch
and
of
then
medications.
they develop into
My
maybe
tip
more
to
of a
you
role,
is
a bigger role.
don't
That
be shy about telling
that's his
people
key.
not to smoke around your kids.
It's good to have somebody doing that.
Half of U.S. kids are exposed
Yeah,
to
that ended up
secondhand
being a very
smoke.
prescient
If you or
story.
someone you know wants help, call 1-800-QUIT
Guy's
now.
got 2
A
master's
message from the
degrees.
Health and
Oh,
Human
I didn't know
Services
that.
and CDC.
2 masters.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. We're talking Saints-Bucks. Saints big win. 30-10 over Tampa Bay. Jeff, you know me in point spreads. I've seen from one of the several random, I don't know why I get all these, random point spreaders from all across the globe right now. The early look is that the Saints are actually 2.5-point favorites in Buffalo, which is giving the Saints some respect and maybe Buffalo some non-respect after losing to the Jets this past weekend.
I think the Saints are one of the best teams in the league this season against the spread. I don't know what the overall record is, but it's really, really good.
There you go. 504-260-1280. Let's go to Charles in Metairie. Charles, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
Hey, Larry, I'd like you to comment on the play of the offensive line. And also, I'd like to know if Jeff still thinks Tulane's the best college football in this
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, nice one. Well,
Charles just bringing out the daggers here today. Hey, Charles, appreciate the phone
And
call.
one more thing,
go ahead.
Larry, I'd like to ask you about your Rumble Raiders. How are they going to do in the playoffs?
Well, it's not looking so great. Look, when you get decimated by injuries in high school, it's a problem.
Injuries are an excuse.
In high school football, yes. When, the entire offensive line gets hurt, yes, I'm going to make that excuse. Hey, Charles, appreciate the phone call. Jeff, let's just start with you. Tulane going down in a game they probably could have and should have won, missing a late field goal at Yeoman Stadium, and the season kind of taking a tailspin after that loss up at FIU a few weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, first of all, for clarification, I never said they were better than LSU. Let's not put out some fake news here. I said it's worth considering for the first time ever. There's a big difference, so just to be clear about that. And I think there was a clear paragraph that said LSU remains the best team in the state and the flagship school. But finally, LSU at Tulane has vaulted over the Lafayette's and the Louisiana Techs of the world and can have their rightful place above those schools and maybe one day challenge LSU. Now, clearly, they've got a long way to go. They've taken a step back, and it's part of the evolution of their program, but they are trending in the right direction, even with the loss this week. Once they get a good dynamic running game to go with this quarterback, Jonathan Banks, and they can recruit some defensive athletes to compete in the American Athletic Conference, I think Tulane is going to be on the right track. Now, back to my point about LSU. LSU played well, but there was never any doubt that Alabama was going to win that game. Matter of fact, they led wire to wire. It's the third game in a row in the series that LSU's never led for 1 second against them. To me, that was just a case of Alabama getting the lead and basically controlling the game and controlling the lead. There's a difference. And so people are encouraged, and you make a good point. Why is everybody encouraged? But I think what the most encouraging thing, Larry, from LSU's perspective, was the game plan was good. You felt like they were actually keeping Alabama a little bit on their heels, and the X's and O's have now caught up to some degree with the athletes on the field. Now they got to get a better quarterback play. That's the difference. But in the past, I think most LSU fans felt like they had no chance against Alabama from a coaching perspective. I think now that's changed.
Yeah, I would agree there, and we'll talk more about that in hour number 2. But as far as the offensive line play with the Saints, look, it's been something that I'm amazed, and you've got to give those guys all kinds of credit, and Dan Rauscher, for keeping this thing together. Look, Terron Armstead leaves the game, injures his chest. It's probably still related to the shoulder injury. Armstead saying after the game that he'll have an MRI on the chest and see what's what. But the fact that it's moving parts every week, and you're waiting for Larry Warford to come back. He's not on IR, so you assume he's due back at some point. You figure also you could possibly get back Zach Strief. But look, the fact that it's moving, it's musical chairs, and the ground game has been good. Drew Brees remains one of the fewest, if not the fewest, least sacked quarterback in the NFL this year. You've got to give all kinds of credit to this offensive line. Look, even Josh Laribius coming in, kind of being jumping in at guard because Andres Pete's got to move to tackle, and your offensive line at one point was Ryan Ramczyk, Josh Laribius, Max Unger, Senio Kelemete, and Andres Pete. And the fact that they're still getting it done, I think that you got major kudos to the offensive line, and a big part of the reason why the Saints have gotten it done. Let's hit the phone lines again. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. DJ in NOLA East. DJ, thanks for calling.
I got a lot of stuff to talk about.
All right, anyway, DJ's coming in hot.
Yeah, as far as Tulane's concerned, man, since Santos, they haven't had a kicker that could kick 10-yard field goals, man. It's absolutely pathetic that they can continue getting these guys. The punter's bad. I mean, they seem to not worry about these guys as far as, getting to someone that can improve their team. And it just seems every year that they have problems with kickers. So that's one of the problems I think that the coach needs to look at. But anyway, as far as the Saints are concerned, Larry, you pretty much stole my thunder with the offensive line play because, they've had a history over the last few games of having to plug people in, and it seems as though they've done a great job considering. And the big thing I wanted to talk about was on the punt return, man, putting Snead in. Why didn't he put Lewis or even Kamara if he's going to have somebody there just to make a fair catch? Because I don't think Snead's caught one or two punts, since he's been with the team. And I just thought it was a bad choice to put him out there, especially since he hadn't been, getting any catches in the passing game.
You know what they need to do, DJ? There you go. You got it. Thanks for the call, as always. You know what they need to do? Bring back fair catch machine Jairus Byrd. The most reliable fair catch guy the Saints have had in 4 years. Just put him back there.
No, they don't.
He catches everything. He catches everything.
I think I speak for Saints fans everywhere in saying no, they don't.
What, he can't be a fifth safety on this team?
I'd rather have Lance Moore back there, retired Lance Moore, than Jairus Byrd on the roster. But look, let's not overreact to this thing. I mean, they're getting Willie Snead back there to get him some experience. The Saints were never going to lose that game yesterday. Come on. The Bucs had no chance.
Not at that point.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's the time you do it. That's exactly when you do it. It's like putting in Miles Brennan late against Alabama. You get him out there, the game's over, you get him some experience. That was a smart move, in my opinion. Now, Willie Snead's got to catch the dang ball. I mean, come on.
He does have to catch the ball.
I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick was in the game. That's all you need to know.
Yes, and he wasn't doing anything. And yeah, they scored the one touchdown because they gave him the field position. So, yeah, look, that's my point. I know they've got mistakes. I still think the fact they can overcome this,
they're winning by 20 a game.
Winning by 20. I mean, yes, that's why I'm like, look, I feel like you can put your faith in the Saints, and they might not win it all, but they're gonna. They certainly seem like a playoff team, and why not get on board and enjoy the ride and see where it takes you. So we got a couple more phone calls. We'll take one, and then we will hit a break, and then we'll come back and take some more. Let's go to Brent on the West Bank. Brent, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got, Brent?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
Look, I've been a Tulane fan for a long, long time, and what I saw on Saturday and what I saw this year is extremely disappointing. I follow Willie Fritz, and I still think he's a good coach. But good coaches don't lose games like they did on Saturday. I mean, they just find a way to win. I mean, this is the same thing that was happening under Curtis Johnson. I mean, we were losing games to teams that we should have won. I mean, we were favored against Cincinnati, favored against Florida International. This is unacceptable. Look, like I said, I've been a long-time fan. It's very tough now to continue to go. I doubt that I will renew my season tickets next year. It's disappointing that nothing is going to change. there's no reason to believe that next year will be any better, and there's no glimmer of hope for me. And I'll leave you with one last thing. I talked to you at the beginning of the season, Larry, after Drew Brees said this was just one game. And I remember Larry Holder saying, no, it's like 40-something games. So how many games is it now, Larry?
Well, now it's 6, but it was 50. Yes. Now it's 6.
Let's start keeping track of that.
Somebody's getting called out.
You say, nothing's going to change my mind. So has your mind changed yet?
Well, yes, of course it's changed. But the results have changed. The results have been the same for 50 games. That's why. Until they change, why would I change my mind on blind faith? Why? They got to give me a reason to believe.
What you saw in the preseason should have given you some hope. But, obviously, you're just a sportscaster like the rest of us. So, hey, y'all have a good day.
Yeah, Brent, good talk. Good luck having no faith with Tulane. There you go. Good luck.
Look, Brent, I think you make some good points about Tulane. They've had some disappointing losses the last few weeks. I mean, Cincinnati, they've got to beat them. They miss a field goal, though. They've got to make that field goal, and they win the game. Florida International, Larry and I have talked about that. You can't go down there after the big win against Army. You're getting ready to set up the South Florida home game, and you lose. You lay an egg.
That put a screeching halt on everything.
But look, man, this happens in college football, and I know we're in this crisis or carnival world, but look at Ohio State on Saturday. They gave up 50-something to Iowa. These games happen, and you just have to look at the whole body of work. Let's see where Tulane's at the end of the season.
Yeah, they got a few more games, but I would say for Tulane and LSU fan, it's like, oh boy, they're so close. I mean, that shouldn't be the way you want to talk about two of the biggest football programs in the state. I mean, that's just me. Let's take a break right here on the show. I know Brother in Metairie is on hold.
We lost him.
Well, he ran away. So maybe he'll come back, but if not, we will hear from all kinds of Saint peeps. Marshon Lattimore, Terron Armstead, Sean Payton, Cam Jordan, and one Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll play some of that next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. Brent, get out of here.
Your forecast on Sports 1280.
Even Todd texted me. Oh, here we go, Brent.
Is brought to you by the
he knows Brent, obviously, from
Thermometer.
So
Happy Monday from the Fox 8 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds today with temperatures climbing toward the mid-80s.
So, Larry, we're up 4 games away from a head shave?
Yeah, take it, Dave. I just know by the time Christmas comes, I'll have had a shaved head for 2 weeks, I'm sure.
Well, look, you know what I'm going to do later on after the show? I'm going to go talk to some salespeople and see shit, I mean, this should be a sponsored event, man.
Supporting the
yeah, I agree.
What bar room were y'all talking about doing it at?
The R Bar has a Monday night. They have a haircut night, and they have a barber's chair in the R Bar.
What is that?
It's on Royal Street.
It's in the Marinade, yeah.
Right in the Marinade. Right off Frenchman.
Right. Like down away from One Eye Jacks around that area?
No. Like
on the other side?
No, yeah, like down near.
By like Mimi's and all that?
No, not that far away. I mean, it's more down near. It's right off of Esplanade. I mean, right.
It's in the Marinade. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't know.
More near like DBA in that area.
Okay. All right.
R Bar on Royal. That's what it stands for. R for Royal.
Yeah.
It's on Royal Street.
All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna go talk with them and see, if they got any bar rooms that maybe we could use. I mean, it's not like we really need
we could go to like Aiden Gill. I know Aiden Gill, although I used to go to him to get my hair cut, and I haven't gone to him like in 3 years, so he probably hates me.
We need somebody to pay though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, Aiden Gill is, he owns the 2 different barbershops in town.
Oh, okay.
He might for the publicity.
Well, they got Modern Men,
but he probably hates me now.
That's around Uptown by like Old Bruno's.
And I used to go to them too, and I don't go to them anymore. They probably hate me.
Burning everyone's bridge. The haircut society hates you.
David in Vegas is on the line.
All right.
I wonder what's that place out in Kennebra? They was like Sports Cuts or something like that.
Oh, they got
like,
sports clips. Something like that.
That's what it's called.
Yeah,
you never know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll go talk with the salespeople, see if they got any leads, Because if they got somebody who's just kind of, looking for something to like sponsor or whatever, see what's what.
Aquarium, penguins, stingrays, sharks, and other deep
Because apparently they have no ideas on their own. We got to make them up for them.
Right.
$8 at foxsportsam1280.com. Keyword deals.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around.
10 seconds.
Just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Duncan Holder, Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune Studios. Saints 30, Bucks 10. Lots to talk about here on the show. And look, we're taking your phone calls. We don't have guests on the show by design on a Monday, and that's because we want to get your reaction and just kind of get what's going on, what was said after the game, and we'll get to some of that here in a little bit. Let's go to the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number. David in Las Vegas. David, thanks for calling Duncan Holder. What you got?
Hello, gentlemen. How you guys doing today?
Good, David. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. But you proclaim somebody else as the favorite Saints fan on the West Coast. Well, what about me?
Do you qualify as West Coast?
He's not on the coast.
I figure you're in the desert.
There's no coast,
right? Vegas in the desert, right? Right?
Yeah, but it's the West Coast. It's still considered West Coast.
Look, y'all two can brawl. I think that would be great. Let's figure it out.
All right. Well, listen, guys. I have to tell you, man, it's amazing right now being a Saints fan. It really is. Hey, you guys know better than anybody. The last 3 years has been really down in the dumps for the team. I mean, we have the greatest fans. We support the team no matter what. But you have to admit, compared to what's been going on the last 3 years to this year, it's a total 360. And it's just a breath of fresh air to see the teams back on the winning track. It's just a whole different energy. You know, it's like I was just talking to my family, and they were at the game yesterday, and he said it was just a different energy in the dome, as it has been maybe in other last couple of years, where it just seemed like it wasn't so good at times. But it's just great to see us win. I think for me, I'd like to see how this rest of this month shapes up. We got the Bills, Rams, and I believe. I don't remember who the other team we're playing this month, but this month the remaining games is going to be really key, guys. You know, Buffalo's no joke. They have to go to Buffalo. They have a solid defense. McDermott is familiar with our team. So, again, I like what we're doing. We're moving in the right direction. I thought our special teams came up big, but let's see what happens the next couple of weeks. I still think we're a playoff team, but if we land up winning out these games and the remaining couple games this month against Buffalo, Rams, and whoever else that team is,
it's Washington, David. Yeah, Washington. It's Washington.
Going to be taken more seriously.
Yeah, Buffalo. Hey, David, appreciate the phone call. It's at Buffalo, home against Washington, at the Los Angeles Rams.
Reggie, Dallas.
And look, let's. You talked about the atmosphere in the dome, and I could tell yesterday, I was like, man, you could tell that people believe. And I could tell you from talking to players in the locker room that there is a sense of belief in town, which there hasn't been. It's not like fans have gone away in the sense of, wow, they still cheer for their team, but there's a belief that they can go out there and win every game.
Didn't you get a quote from Terron Armstead saying that it was like the best environment he's had since he's been on the team or something like that?
Why don't we play my sound bites from Terron Armstead, about 2 minutes, and just kind of goes through the atmosphere, the offense. Let's hear what Terron Armstead had to say after the game.
Let's see. 6 in a row probably feels pretty good, right?
Feels great, man.
Just your thoughts kind of on the win and kind of the role you guys are on, and you know it may not all.
We got Reggie in Dallas.
Prettiest play, but it seems like you guys always have a handle of getting these things done lately.
Man, we got some momentum going. We just got to keep capitalizing. Can't take it for granted. It's definitely been a long time since we had this type of winning around here. So we fall in love with that feeling every Sunday.
Do you kind of get the sense that the crowd, this place, is kind of feeling it too, and they're kind of because I know they caused a couple of delay game penalties, and they're kind of getting juiced up with you guys.
This was probably the loudest. To me, it felt like this was the most electric the Superdome has been in a little while.
Probably your rookie year, maybe
2013.
Yeah.
Real, it was pretty special today.
Yeah. Just you see some of the offensive pieces get going. It's not all Drew, and when he's asked to get it done, he does, and Kamara, and just the diversity of this offense. I mean, how cool is that to see?
It makes us a tough unit to game plan for. I mean, a lot of guys touch the ball every week, so you can't really just key in on a couple certain guys. Drew is amazing, Hall of Fame. Like you say, you got guys AK and Mike taking pressure off of him, man. I still don't feel like we put it all together as an offense.
Was today close out to maybe putting it all together?
Yeah, that's spots. Consistently, we just that perfect game is coming for us.
Where do you think that consistency is lacking?
I mean, we hold ourselves to a high standard. I mean, we've seen games with offense we put up, go out and score every possession. That's the kind of standard we hold ourselves to. That's our expectation. So when we don't have that, have an ugly series, it's just that's not us.
Are you good?
Will be. I was messed up. First play. So about to go get an MRI right now. Figure out exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Do you think it's anything serious? Or?
I don't think so.
All right, that's Terron Armstead on the atmosphere. And just to kind of give you a little injury tidbit, don't know the results of the MRI. Actually, Sean Payton is speaking to the media on a conference call right now, and I don't think we have any specific word on what's going to happen, and I would doubt we would get any specific word anyway on that. But one of the things he did mention in the conference call was how that they're having to shuffle so many offensive linemen. He wish it wasn't the case, but hey, I think at some point things are going to be better because Warford will return. I assume Zach Streep will return. I assume Terron Armstead will return. The fact they have so much depth, that is probably the most understated strength of this Saints team right now. And without them playing well, they would be in gigantic trouble.
They've essentially got 7 starting offensive linemen. If you throw in the fact that Ryan Ramczyk is now starting, he was not expected to start, and Senio Calamenti. I can't think of any other team in the league that would have that quality and quantity of offensive linemen. It's kind of a problem around the league right now. A lot of teams don't have 5 quality offensive linemen. The Saints have 7, and it's been, without question, the strength of this team so far. And they are going to be, I think, represented in the Pro Bowl at the end of the year by the way some of these guys are playing.
Let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Reggie in Dallas. Reggie, thanks for calling Duncan Holder. What you got?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning, Reg.
Hey, calling today as a proud St. Aug alumni. You know, took down these Rumble Raiders over the week. That's a pretty nice victory.
I like it.
Man, all I get is grief. Boy, oh boy. That's all I get.
I like it, Reggie.
Good thing the way the Catholic League is slated now. You can lose every Catholic League game and still get into playoffs. So there's always hope in this muddied, watered down playoff system we have here in Louisiana now.
That's true. Hey man, look, as far as the game Sunday, the Bucs, they lost the game before the game even started with the pregame with Winston. And in all my years watching football, I have never seen a dude eat his fingers before a football game. And so, I was like, man, what is this do? Even his teammates looking at him like, what are you doing?
The best is that there was a tweet about it, and then Golden Tate from the Detroit Lions, it was saying something like, you don't want this to be your NFL quarterback, and I think Golden Tate might have said 100,000 times over yes. So he's on board like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah, I mean, they all had the look on their face like, we need him to go sit on the side somewhere so we can get ready for this game. But it's another good win. Marshon Lattimore did his thing once again. Ken Crawley played pretty well, and P.J. Williams. They played, both of them played pretty good. And have y'all heard anything about Kenny? Because I saw him leap off the field. It looked like he hurt his hamstring or something like that. If y'all heard anything about that, just mention it or whatever. Y'all have a good morning, fellas.
All right, Reggie. Even though you're a St. Aug alum, you can keep calling and rub it in my face. No big deal. But yeah, look, Kenny Vaccaro left and he did not come back. Jeff, I'm blanking on the injury. Was it a groin injury? Was it? I feel like I need to look it up. I know we reported on it, but I need to double check on what it is.
I think it was groin, and I think he tweaked his hamstring a little bit. But he got out of the locker room. When we got in the locker room after the game, Kenny was in there and he was moving pretty well, but he moved out of the locker room very quickly. As any veteran player on the Saints knows, you get out of the locker room if you're injured. You don't want to have to answer any questions, and you got to get into.
If you're badly injured, yes. Like Terron Armstead at least stuck around and answered questions, so you got to at least feel okay with that. But yeah, Kenny Vaccaro, look, that's an injury we're going to have to monitor, absolutely. Look, Chris Banjo came in and played. Raphael Bush was a healthy scratch, so Chris Banjo came in and saw some time at safety. So let's take a break right here on the show. I know we got some phone callers on hold. Stick on there. Brother and Metairie, Rick in Boulder, Colorado. Stick around. We will get to your phone calls here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Chris Gordy.
Defense is playing much better. I just think that looking at Dave Aranda, I don't know
hey, can you get this done?
He just doesn't have
Clyde,
the
of course,
mornings 8 to 10.
He's got a lot.
All right, this is a short 2-minute break.
All right, cool. Just let me know if anyone drops off.
Oh my God, brother just dropped off.
He'll probably call back. He's like, I can't catch a break with these guys.
When it comes to vehicle safety,
well, it's funny. I know some of these listeners, like Brother in Metairie and Reggie in Dallas, that they listen to a couple of shows at the same time.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Oh, God, yeah.
For blades and everything.
Like, Brother in Metairie, I mean, he always calls Eric Asher.
Okay. Well, that's like DJ does that, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. DJ is blind too, I believe. I think he's blind, and so like he depends on the radio. Like I know he listens to the Pelicans games on RNO.
Okay.
Because it's a audio broadcast.
Days are coming.
As opposed to look at that.
Yeah, well, he's
annual event, November 10th.
He's like a talk staple, yeah.
Yeah, but ever since he started calling way back when, I mean, he always comes with like measured good calls, so it's like I welcome him to come on.
Some exclusions apply. See jared.com for details.
He's never like
in the developing world, more than 400
like
children.
Right.
Like whoever Brent the West
Join
Bank
Smile
is,
Train and giving us
touch the nerve.
He was just being a dick.
Touch
free
the
for the
nerve.
child's family. To learn more, visit smiletrain.org because a smile has the power to change everything.
Put $1,000 in your hand.
They're 5-5 though. What are you ranting about?
Only center up there. Oh, here's one.
Joel Embiid
At 5 a.m.
And here's another one for you.
10 seconds.
Got another good one for you.
For a
Point
chance
this
to
out
put
there.
$1,000 in your hand on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
We're not talking Pelicans. Saints Monday.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Now that's some good music.
Paula Abdul up in your life, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably got posters of her still in your bedroom right now. I guarantee it.
Farrah Fawcett.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
With the cartoon cat. Because Paula Abdul's kind of lost her marbles a little bit, right? Just kind of like Farrah Fawcett, right? Both of them kind of lost their marbles. Yeah, well, Lisa Turtle, who'd be up in my room, she's way lost her marbles. So I digress. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Dave, we still got Rick in Boulder?
Yes, we do.
Rick in Boulder, Colorado. I assume our signal does not reach that far, so
It's Rip LaBeouf in Boulder, Colorado.
Rip.
Whoops.
Oh, Dave, he gets 95% of the things right. So there you go. What's up, Rip? How are you, bud?
I want to give a shout out to all my folks on YouTube chat first off.
YouTube chat is on fire today.
Out there for biggest Saints fan on the West Coast.
Hey, Rip, I didn't know you were.
Now, how are you claiming West Coast? You're in the mountains. You're like, it's snowing.
Colorado, anything west of the Mississippi.
So I live in Algiers. I live on the West Coast.
Yep.
On the West Bank. There you go.
So we could put all that on pay-per-view, you know?
There you go, Rip. I like it. It could be like a King of the Ring or something.
Exactly. Well, my question is quick. I just want to know, you know how the NFL flexes games? Which games do you think might be flexed this year for the Saints so they can be in, like, prime time or, you know?
Yeah, Rip, you would look at, and it's the Saints' schedule, you look at the games, and in and of themselves, it's hard to see a lot of them being projected as flex. It's going to depend on, look, how do they want to flex the Rams? We got to look at the schedule.
Saints-Panthers, maybe?
Maybe Saints-Panthers if the Panthers are still playing well. Look, if the Jets are in any sort of relevance, they might flex that game. But
Saints-Panthers got a shot.
Yeah, I'd say that just because, look, the Panthers are 6-3 right
Somehow.
now. I'm the same boat as you. I don't understand how they keep winning.
I will say this.
Games.
The Saints-Rams game, I'm not scheduled to go to that, but I am fixing, as they say in the Deep South, to get on that trip. We're going to have to figure that out.
I'm already going, so that's already figured out.
Rip, I think you would agree. That game's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, there's going to be a lot of offense.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a really fun game, and I'm very impressed with Sean McVay, the coaching job he's done. I think he's like a young Sean Payton. I mean, he's that kind of dynamic.
Exactly. He's a really, really strong coach. And the way Sean Payton came out in 2006 is very similar to the way he's coming out now.
Yeah, I agree. Turned around a franchise and immediately changed the perception and image of the franchise.
Immediately changed Jared Goff. Everyone thought he was a stiff, and all of a sudden you get someone who actually knows how to work with a quarterback, and voila, he looks like a number one pick in the draft.
And Rip, I got to tell you, you live in one of the great cities in America. You're right there at the Flatirons. Beautiful. The first college football game I ever covered in my career was Colorado, Northeast Louisiana. And I remember looking up at those Flatirons and just thinking, it was Rashad Salam. I'm going back in the day. And, man, what an incredible vista to watch a college football game.
Cordell Stewart days, huh?
Yeah. Oh, well, we know, hey, Cordell's from down here, man. West Bank. See, look, he lives on the West Bank here, so I guess he's West Coast guy too, right? Absolutely.
Exactly.
There you go. Hey, Rip, appreciate you jumping in the call line, as I know you were a regular in the YouTube chat. And we finally got this thing rocking and rolling. No more buffering, no more disasters. So finally got it working.
Shout out to Nickelback.
Shout out to
Clyde. To Nickelback.
Oh, yeah. We were giving Josh Katzenstein grief about that yesterday. And we will now, every time we have Josh Katzenstein on, we will definitely have a walk-up of
huge Nickelback fan.
We showed him the title. Yeah, hey, Rip, you appreciate it. We showed him the title of the podcast you put up on Sports 1280. We showed it to him in the press box yesterday, and he did it to himself. Don't test the guy who's got the controls. What's the matter with you?
He wasn't pleased with the title of huge Nickelback fan?
Not so pleased. No. Not so much. He'd rather, let's see, Canadian. He'd probably have Shania Twain fan or Alan Thicke fan or Bieber. Isn't he Canadian?
I think
any of them.
Or the Titanic chick.
I think with the way the Saints,
Celine Dion, yes,
the way the Saints have started this season at 6-2, I think it calls for a reprise of taking it to the top.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I think the Saints are taking it to the top right now.
So you think they're going to have like a halftime performance? They're going to be like 10-2, and they're going to bring Morton and Brian Hansen back in, and they're just going to take it to the top?
I think that would be a good idea. And if they can't do it, I think we do it here on the show.
I think we will at some point.
Yes.
But they've got to get to the top. Like, they're not to the top yet.
They're in the process of taking it to the top.
Well, let me get Sean Payton's reaction to the Dome atmosphere because, like I said, it's been tangible to tell the enthusiasm around the city and within that Dome crowd, and it is a rocking place. Look, they've won their last 3 at home. It's becoming kind of a Dome feel advantage. So let's hear what Sean Payton had to say about the Dome atmosphere yesterday and kind of leading up to this game.
What do you make of the atmosphere? It seems like they're causing delay of games. I think fans are fired up. Like, is it kind of got the old? Does it kind of have the old Dome feel?
It's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. Crowd's been good. it's exciting. So it's our job to go out there and perform and play well, and we feed off of the
1 minute.
Second quarter here, where we knew in this 4-game stretch we were going to have three or four at home, and fortunately we were able to take advantage of that.
And I think that's huge because the Saints need home field advantage. Jeff, we've talked about it. The Saints don't want to be going to go play if they make the playoffs. Again, we're looking way ahead. And ask and you shall receive, Jeffrey Duncan.
Thank you, Dave.
Taking it to the top. But they're the number 2 seed. You still don't want to go play Philadelphia in January, where last time we saw a playoff game there, it was 0 the night before, and it turned into a balmy 22 leading up to the game. And honestly, it helped the Saints win because it jumped 20 degrees.
10 seconds.
No doubt about it. We'll talk about it more in the second.
Absolutely. So come on back. Sports1280 NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
In Africa, 5-year-old Chiru has no
Throw a seed at the top. That's my favorite line.
Dirty water.
Cool like a dove.
By providing clean water,
We were falling in love and you want it.
spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick.
All right,
Girls can be
time to go get ice.
and moms will gain back time to care
It's
for their families.
Y'all got about 5 minutes.
Finally free of
5.5 minutes.
True. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
My son Aiden has asthma. Secondhand smoke has triggered his asthma so badly, he ended up in the emergency room and spent multiple nights in intensive care. Now he's on a whole bunch of medications. My tip to you is, don't be shy about telling people not to smoke around your kids.
Half of U.S. kids are exposed to secondhand smoke. If you or someone you know wants help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Fox Sports trending now.
Week 9 of the NFL season wraps up tonight with Detroit playing in Green Bay. Of course, that'll for Monday Night Football. The Packers coming in without Aaron Rodgers, who's out for probably the rest of the season. That means Brett Hundley will get his first Monday Night Football start.
Divisional games are always important. Every game is always important, too. And, this game is a big one. Monday Night Football. What else could you want other than the Super Bowl? But, it'll be a fun one, and it'll be a big game.
Kickoff in Green Bay will be at 8:30 Eastern. Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon, who was conditionally reinstated by Roger Goodell last weekend, will report to the Browns facility on Tuesday. The team announced he has not played in an NFL game since 2014 and would not be able to play any sooner than November 27th. I'm Ralph Irvin.
We are Fox Sports!
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's been a nasty year for natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, and wildfires destroying many homes, both owned and rented. Owners tend to have insurance more than renters, but a lot more people rent these days. 2/3 of those under 30 rent, but fewer than a third of them have renter's insurance, and they should, says Laura Adams at insurancequotes.com.
The problem with not having renter's insurance and sort of assuming that the landlord is going to take care of you if you get into legal trouble or you have a natural disaster, the problem with that is that their insurance never covers you.
She argues personal possessions and personal liability inside your rental aren't worth risking for $16 a month.
But the average cost of a renter's premium across the nation is less than $200. It's actually $190.
Although there's no law, she says more landlords are requiring renters to carry renter's insurance.
NBC's Chris Clackham reporting, what's up with rising gas prices?
Let me still be
you may
panicked,
ask?
though.
Well,
I'm not
the
allowing
summer driving
panic
season
anymore.
is over. The national average has been ticking back up over the last week or so, and AAA's average is about 30 cents higher than this time last year. Experts say it's a combination of higher oil prices, hurricane-related refinery repairs, and a strong economy driving more driving. And Californians just got hit with a higher gasoline
Spitfire and Venom and get
but
pissed
analysts
and
do
have
expect
good radio.
prices to start dropping in the coming weeks as it gets colder and darker. BMW is
All right, we're
recalling
gonna
about
go
1
through the
million
fight
vehicles in
here,
North America for fire
'cause we
risks.
really hadn't
Most
talked
of the
about
problem
it
is
too
faulty
much, 'cause
wiring
we
and
got
heating and air conditioning systems.
Payton,
recall includes models in the 3,
Lattimore,
5 series,
Mike
and the
Evans.
X3, X5, and Z4 vehicles for years 2006 through 2011. A light load of economic reports compared to
And then
last
this
in the
thing
week
had
ahead. None are scheduled Monday or Wednesday. Tuesday we'll get the October Small Business Index and September reports on job openings and consumer credit. Thursday, September wholesale inventories, and Friday, the first consumer sentiment report for November. Consumer and business news. Joe McConnell, NBC News Radio.
Napa know-how. Ice, snow, rain, and 24-hour holiday music. Winter throws a lot at you. That's why Napa has exact fit wiper blades for $10 off per pair. These durable, long-lasting blades will help you defend against winter's worst. Holiday music not included. So save $10 today with Napa exact fit wiper blades.
Hell, I'll give it to Lattimore.
Helpful
I
people.
think
That's Napa know-how.
what he said afterward.
At participating
People,
Napa Auto
like,
Parts stores.
just
Offer ends
when I put it on
12/31/17.
Twitter, people like love him even more.
Yeah,
because he was just like
Twitter
whatever.
is
I
out
mean,
with
he's
an updated
being a
version of
punk,
their
and
rules.
I'm just, and
some of the bigger changes.
the next time he was in
updated
coverage and
sections
they
on
actually
abusive
threw at him,
behavior,
is that kind of
self-harm
deep ball and he
graphic
broke it
violence
up.
and adult content.
It was like
Twitter
gold.
says it's now making it clear that context is important when analyzing abusive behavior and choosing to take action. Social network has been taking some criticism that it's been a haven for hate, violence, and harassment. You can now
The Saints
pester your
can't
friends
choke
with new
the
GIF and photo
Panthers. They're just
Facebook
not
polls.
good.
Write your question and 2
the
answers, and
Saints
the
are better
poll will
than them.
appear
Like,
in
they
your
cannot-
profile page. You can add
Don't
photos,
gag
GIFs, choose
and
an
let them
expiration
take the
date for your
division.
polls, post, and then you and everyone who votes can see the results. So, be
I don't
aware,
know who else
the answers
Carolina's
are
got
not
left on the
anonymous.
schedule.
Apple says the face with
schedule's
tears of
probably
joy
still just
is
as,
the
like,
most popular emoji among
whatever.
1 minute.
iOS
Like
and Mac
the
users
Saints-
in the
like the
country.
Saints is.
As you remember, back in 2015, the Oxford English Dictionary gave the laughing, sobbing face the dubious honor of being the first emoji to hold the position of Word of the Year. Tech Report, Larry Olson,
They
NBC
gotta
News Radio.
Play the Vikings at home.
This is Dr. Ned Hallowell for ADHD Awareness Month. Many people think that having ADHD means something is wrong with them, when in fact, if managed properly, it can be your greatest asset. I know because I have it myself. People with ADHD have race car brains with bicycle brakes. Once they learn to control their brakes, they'll win races. For tips on managing ADHD, listen to my weekly podcast at Distraction Podcast.
Talk about bitch and Jonathan Stewart like there's a column. Bench Jonathan Stewart because
Sounds
they're
good,
often
doesn't
stinks.
it?
They don't have Kellen
The
Bench.
next keyword is minutes away on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2. Action-packed hour number 1. Appreciate all your interaction. Got the YouTube live stream flowing. Lots of calls, so if you want to get involved in the show, we don't have any guests on purpose on a Monday, so here's the number. 504-260-1280 is the number. Now, I want to get into the brawl, the sneak attack brawl from one Mike Evans on Marshon Lattimore. We didn't touch on it too much in the first hour, kind of by design, because I wanted to give it as much play as we can, because we've got reaction from Sean Payton, we've got reaction from Mike Evans, and we've got reaction from Marshon Lattimore. And Jeff, we did touch on a little bit as far as I'm in agreement with you that if Jameis Winston doesn't stick his nose where where it shouldn't belong, for someone A, who's hurt, and B, just is like getting on the field and trying to get involved, if he doesn't do that, this doesn't happen. And so it's something like, why is he even out there? What's the point? What are you doing, except it's like, oh, look at me, I can do whatever I want because I'm the quarterback of this team.
I think there's a common thread in all the fights that happened yesterday in the NFL. There were 3, as far as I know, the Saints and the Bucs, mainly instigated by the Bucs. You had A.J. Green, who by all accounts is a really good sportsman kind of guy, never gets in any problems. He horse collars and chokes Jalen Ramsey.
It's like a sleeper hold, like Brutus the Barber Beefcake, right. Sleeper hold.
And the 49ers got into a fight. 3 losing teams that are frustrated. And I think that's all this was frustration with losing. But you got to be able to handle it. That's part of being a pro. And being a competitor is you're a good loser. You're not a sore loser, and that's what struck me with the Bucs yesterday. They just seemed like a bunch of sore losers.
Yeah, first let's hear now from Sean Payton on his reaction. Look, we saw him flying out into midfield, and our own Josh Katzenstein found someone, I want to give him credit, Jeff McAloney on Twitter has a little soundbite, or I guess you could read the lips.
Lip reading.
A lip reading from Sean Payton. So Jeff Macalino at St. J Mac on Twitter. And the tweet is, so Payton was definitely screaming at Dirk Cutter, quote, "That's effing chicken bleep, your team," and there's no doubt that that's what's coming out of Sean Payton's mouth. But here's what Sean Payton had to say about the fight after the game.
Not a lot good. So, but I'm sure New York will. I know it went to New York to look at. In that, if there's not an ejection in that situation, then I don't know when there's supposed to be an ejection. So he was a little angry. 13 was.
He was a little angry. 13 was. But look, it is the exact reaction that I had on Twitter. I'm talking to the T. I wrote after I saw the replay that if you can't get ejected for that, then there's no such thing as an ejection in the NFL.
I mean, look, they're protecting. What's the rule on the field? Defenseless receiver. Marshon Lattimore was completely defenseless there. He could have easily got a concussion or some kind of serious injury from that. And look how that would impact the Saints the rest of the season. So I think Mike Evans is going to get hammered, and rightfully so. And look, Mike Evans doesn't have a rep of being that kind of guy either. He even admitted he admitted afterwards that he let his emotions get the best of him. He saw him confronting his quarterback, but there was nothing going on to any type of degree to warrant that kind of hit.
No, absolutely not. And we were wondering how the handshake would go after the game, and Sean Payton gave the "let me barely touch your hand, swat you away, and get out of Dodge," because he wanted nothing to do with Dirk Cutter.
Sean was looking for somebody, because you and I both were watching him from the press box, and I don't know who he was looking for.
He was looking for Deshaun Jackson. He went and found him. I could tell you because Deshaun Jackson, even during the game, Sean went and kind of got him. It was kind of a timeout or something, and he went and got him and talked to him and kind of patted him on the chest.
Like to maybe talk to the younger players?
I think that might have been part of it. And then he went after the game and found Deshaun Jackson again, maybe to do something. He's like, look, if your coach isn't going to do something about it, you got to take control. Maybe, I don't know. We're just totally speculating.
I think you're spot on in that observation, because Payton has done that in the past, but it's been a long time since he's gotten into it with an opposing sideline. It was all the way back. I know he got into it with the Bucs down in Tampa once, and I'm trying to remember the name of the coach. It was Raheem Morris, right?
Yes.
I remember him yelling across the field and pointing at Raheem Morris about some hit he didn't like along the sidelines. And Sean's done this before. He's gotten into some trash talking with Steve Smith when he played for the Carolina Panthers. I remember asking Sean about that after a game. He'll never admit it afterward. He'll never admit it. But
not in a press conference setting.
No. Maybe off the record.
Maybe somewhere.
But, he's going to do that, and he's going to protect his team, and I think his players respect him for that.
All right, you mentioned Mike Evans' reaction after the game. Let's hear what he had to say about cheap-shotting one Marshon Lattimore.
Obviously resulted in the scuffle. I just let my emotions get the best of me. I thought 22 was pick a fight with my quarterback, and I just let my emotions get the best of me. Something I shouldn't have did. It was very childish. I shouldn't have did that.
Was that you saw the shove?
I just saw the shove, and then I thought he was going after Jameis, and I was trying to protect my quarterback. But I let my emotions get the best of me, like I said.
Are you concerned about discipline for that play?
Yeah, I want to play. I want to help my team, but the league's gonna do what they're gonna do.
It's part of that, just the frustration of the offense not clicking today, and nothing happened for you guys.
A little bit, but I'm gonna protect my quarterback no matter what. I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have. That was kind of malicious. I shouldn't have hit him in his back like that. Should have just showed him away to try to break it up. But I reacted too quick. I shouldn't have did it.
Like at 2-6, can you guys keep this thing together?
We have no choice. We have to try. I don't know for sure. but we have to try. We got to play. We got 8 more games left. We have to play. It's our job.
No, you're not going to keep it together. This thing is in the tank. It's the old dumpster fire gif you'd find on Twitter. You could easily throw that on a Tampa Bay team. But look, Mike Evans, 6 targets, 1 catch, 13 yards yesterday. They eliminated him, period. Deshaun Jackson, I thought that they might try to use him as a kind of test Ken Crawley over the top. They did a couple times, wasn't successful. He only had 4 targets, 2 receptions, 25 yards. You got to give all kinds of credit to the Saints secondary. And again,
but the quarterback play was bad.
I understand that, but don't let a bad player beat you. We've seen Saints get beat by bad players before.
Right, but you and I and Nick Underhill were talking on the elevator going up after the game, and I don't want to rain on the parade. I don't want to sound like I'm Debbie Downer now because I've been waving the flag for a long time. But the Saints are getting incredibly fortunate in the opposing quarterback department. I mean, they get clearly an injured Jameis Winston, he was awful in the first half. I see why they benched him. I mean, he had some guys running wide open, and he throwing the ball out of bounds. Those could have been big plays, explosive plays, and changed the complexion of the game, allowed them to run the ball a little more, which is what they want to do. They get Matt Stafford, who's with an ankle and a hamstring, couldn't do anything. They had to change their whole game plan. Everything was quick 3-step drops. They get the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, and they get the Dolphins without Ryan Tannehill. So, look, they have to play who they play, but it's a little misleading right now because the quarterback play on the opposing team is so bad.
Well, but Marshon Lattimore is still so good.
I know, and look, I'm not discounting that, but he hasn't been challenged by a Tom Brady type in a while.
Well, he won't be for a while.
And that's not how it's going to play out because people are going to go the other side. He did give up one catch yesterday, right?
He gave up one catch.
Right.
If that's the worst thing you're saying,
I'm just saying that's how good they're playing bad quarterbacks. So it's
Harahan.
It's hard to. I have to see them go against somebody when King Crawley and the safeties are lining up against the second and third best receiver on the other team and a quarterback that can exploit that. We haven't really seen that yet. So.
Well, let's hear what Sean Payton had to say when he talked with Marshon Lattimore after the fight.
Absolutely. But I felt like we had pretty good control of our players. And we've always prided ourselves in that. And, it's no different than parenting.
Basically calling Dirk Cutter a bad parent.
That's a good call.
That's essentially what he did.
When he said that in the post-game press conference, I didn't think of it that way, but that's exactly what that meant. Yeah. He is in control of his team like a parent should be in control of their kids, and he didn't feel like they were getting enough leadership on that other sideline. That's exactly what he was saying.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he's right.
I agree there, too. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's go to Harahan and to Ryan. Ryan, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
If Kamara's still doing good at the end of the season, and you think they're going to try to sweeten the pot for his contract since he's only a third-round draft pick, maybe try to re-sign him to a new deal?
Hey, Ryan, appreciate the question and appreciate the phone call. I don't think they're going to do that anytime soon because let's just see what they've done. They didn't do it with Michael Thomas. They're not going to do it. That's the beauty of finding guys like Kamara in the third round and finding Michael Thomas in the second round. You don't have to pay him a lot, and you get massive production. Now you worry about it down the line, but no, you don't. That's not going to happen.
No, you never do that. I mean, that's exactly right, Larry. They're going to have to sign probably Kenny Vaccaro to a pretty big deal here coming up. They're going to need those cap dollars to keep some of these key young players that are developing for them, and they'll address Alvin Kamara down the road. I mean, it's no different than Seattle. One of the luxuries they had for a number of years was Russell Wilson was on, I think, a third-round draft pick.
Rookie contract,
and they were able to build around him before they actually had to pay him a lot of money. And they will eventually. And, look, he will get probably some money back from the NFL, right? Isn't there like the compensation if you outperform your contract?
Right, you do.
He'll get some. I mean, it's not a lot, but they do have something built in to the CBA to reward players that outperform their rookie contracts like that. So he'll do that. But look, I had some numbers on him today. Put it on Twitter. We have a post about it in my column. Alvin Kamara his numbers are comparable to many of the great Saints running backs in the history of the franchise. Just his average per touch is the highest of any Saints back in the first 8 games. We're going back to George Rogers and Reuben Mays and Dalton Hilliard. No one has been as efficient every time they touch the ball, whether that's in the receiving game or running the ball. And so it kind of puts into perspective what we're talking about here through 8 games, how productive he's been.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll hear more from Sean Payton about Alvin Kamara coming up in the next segment. But I do want to get, since we've been talking a lot about this spike, let's hear what Marshon Lattimore had to say about the game. He was as honest, and I gave him a ton of credit, and took the high road, but definitely did not have any problem putting the blame on the Tampa Bay Bucs. So let's hear what Marshon Lattimore had to say from after the game.
Just a lot of talking, man, and he put his hands on me, so you know how to retaliate. You know, all the talking is football. You know, it happens. But as soon as you put your hand on me, you know, it is different. You know, so, and that's all that was.
Are you kind of wondering that no ejection on that?
I really didn't care. I wanted him to stay in the game, you know, so I can go after him. But, you know, it's football. It is what it is, man.
Are you kind of wondering what Jameis is even doing, putting his hands on you? He's already hurt and sidelined. Like, what is he even doing?
Y'all gonna have to speculate that, you know, because I'm not even gonna speak on that. You know, just him just trying to act like that. It is what it is, man.
Another week, another good defensive performance in the secondary. How much are you looking forward to these challenges every week against these top receivers?
I'm looking forward. You know, I'm ready to prove people wrong. You know, just now, like, I have good games, and now I'm not guarding nobody. You know, I'm going against terrible quarterbacks, and you know they try to say everything, but y'all just try to build on that and just go after it and just make them know, you know, that I'm real. So,
Are you glad to see Sean come out? And,
yeah.
He runs midfield, and he's...
Yeah, that got me hype. That got me even more hype, man. You know, after the game, you know, he dapped me up, and we had our little words, so... Yeah, I love that. Because everybody had my back like that.
But, I mean, you see Mike, and he comes from behind. I mean, he could have hurt you. Like, you didn't...
That is a sneak move. Don't nobody respect that. So, I mean, it is what it is. He did what he did, you know.
And you broke up the next pass that went to him when you were guarding him.
Yeah, man. Right? That's how you retaliate to that on the field. You know, we not on the streets. You know, so all that fake tough stuff, that don't get nobody hype. You know what I'm saying? That just it is what it is. You know, we gonna go after him on the field. You know, making plays against him. You know. So.
I like that's how you retaliate. We're not on the streets. Like, you just go out there and make a play, and that you move on. You don't try to jack someone from behind.
That's the Saints' leadership in the locker room being channeled through a young rookie, and I think it's a very solid sign that the Saints coaching staff and veteran leaders have complete control of this locker room, and we've seen it. Alvin Kamara is the same way. He's a very humble guy. Marshon Lattimore. This team has had very few distractions. They've got a very good locker room, and they are trending upward.
There's no doubt about it. So let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, let's talk more about Alvin Kamara. Obviously, a budding star. You wrote about him right after the game, and he is getting noticed throughout the NFL. And him, Marshon Lattimore, the whole rookie class. Look, Justin Hardy is an undrafted rookie, and he goes through and blocks a punt, gets the rebound off of a fortunate bounce, goes in there, and so many rookies are making game-changing plays, and it's been necessary, to say the least. So, yeah, absolutely. Why don't we talk about that when we get back here? Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword cash to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's cash to 200-200.
Deion
the
Sanders
second annual Wine on the River is Saturday, November 11th at Optima Aquarium Plaza. Tickets on sale now at wineontheriver.NOLA.com, with proceeds benefiting from the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation. Presented by Southern Glazers, WGNO, and NOLA 38.
Look, like I said, I can see Levin's lost it. I mean, that's uncalled for, but what's Winston doing?
Right.
He's an idiot.
Quarterback.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be out there on the field.
Since 2004.
Join the movement at nationalmssociety.org.
lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh.
The new Disney Marvel superhero movie is this week's top film in North America. Thor Ragnarok earned an estimated $121 million in its first weekend, the 17th time in a row that a Marvel comic book hero movie opened with nationwide #1 showings. In second place, A Bad Mom's Christmas.
Oh yeah, we should also talk about that stuff I sent out about
place,
the defense.
Jigsaw. Fourth place, Tyler Perry's.
Oh yeah, because I do have
and
something
fifth
like a
place,
soundbite on the defense.
Yeah. Diddy can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because he's got a whole new name.
I decided to change my name again. So my new name is Love, a.k.a. Brother Love.
So if you knew him as Sean Combs or the artist formerly known as Diddy, Puffy, Puff Daddy.
What?
Exclusively.
The camera zoomed in on me. Just
camera's got a mind of its
out
own.
of the blue, and
there's some kind of ghost in
making a
here.
joke about the Holocaust that's being slammed as insensitive.
You know what we haven't had in a while, Dave?
No good opening
Little
lines.
Debbie Gibson. Little Only in My Dreams.
Oh my God.
Oh yes.
I saw what you were looking up. He was looking up the lyrics on his computer.
Yeah, I was trying to see if they applied to the Saints' 6-2 start. They didn't.
Forced to cancel his St. Pablo tour.
Do you remember how much he dogged on Debbie Gibson? When I first brought her up, and now he's like,
only in my dreams, as real as it may seem, it was only in my dreams.
It's reality, dude.
It plays.
Michael Bauer, NBC
Yeah, when I
Radio.
saw that photo of her at 47.
Back to life.
We fixed
back
it.
to reality.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
God's making the U-turn. Jeff's like, how does this happen?
It always zooms in on him.
A dry, persistent cough, chest discomfort.
That is fair,
If you're
Boom.
experiencing these symptoms, see a
Boom.
doctor
Fair.
now.
Glad to glad.
IPF.com.
We're getting ready to play some Debbie Gibson, though, so if you
Only
wanna
Taco Bell's $5.
put your headphones on.
Tell them we got some more Hootie and the Blowfish coming up, and Nickelback,
My
and
man,
Creed.
my man,
Deciding
Hootie.
what's for lunch.
700,000 pounds in the air and no
I
one
love that guy
questions it.
Reggie called in and gave you grief about St. Aug Rummel.
I mean,
They're just playing.
Come on, that's
Get over
like
it.
the third
Taco
guy who's
Bell's
done it.
$5 cravings box. Cheesy gordita crunch, burrito supreme, taco, nachos, and a
Almost
Baja
no
Blast.
shot.
It's the only lunch that frees your mind and your cravings. At participating locations, prices may vary. Tax extra.
This is Duncan Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff, your wiggly arm dance is about as...
I'm so happy right now.
Because you went out and found Deborah Gibson. You got Dave to get on the horn.
Thank you, Dave.
To go bring back Deborah Gibson.
You're welcome, buddy.
And as Dave, as we were talking about during the break, do you, just in case you think you got a shot with Deborah Gibson, he thought you were like a nobody, nothing, and now he's trying to woo you through the airwaves.
What did I say you were nobody? What is that? Where did that come from?
No, that Deborah was a nobody, nothing.
No, I thought she might have just kind of fallen on hard times or something. I don't know.
But yeah, she doesn't have the mall gigs anymore.
Her and Tiffany. No more mall gigs.
No, Debbie Gibson is
The food courts.
Exactly.
thriving in her 40s.
Imagine them playing the food court in the Esplanade Mall, man. That would bring back the Esplanade Mall.
It would single-handedly. She could revive the mall.
I'd be there in the front row with my lighter.
I don't think you're allowed to have lighters.
I love you, Debbie.
Yes. She'd be like,
Call me.
She'd be like, get this pyromaniac out of here. You know who's on fire? Alvin Kamara. What a good segue. Look,
What a segue. Well done.
I love how to pull off the random segues. But look, Alvin Kamara. Without him within this offense, I think you would agree, Jeff, that this offense would certainly not be A, as diverse, B, as unpredictable, and C, as potent, because you see Michael Thomas involved, and he's still catching passes, but he's taking a beating when he's catching passes. It's all these slants, and it's just like he's getting trucked everywhere.
Marcus Colston,
I know, and stuff. I know, man. It's almost like, man, go get this guy a hot tub or an ice bath. But Kamara has been so dynamic to this offense, and obviously the biggest piece to the puzzle right now this year.
Yeah, and I know he took kind of a big hit on that fumble because went airborne. But that's the other thing I like about him is he doesn't take a lot of big hits because he's got that kind of slithery, change of direction, knows how to make himself small, and he doesn't get hit straight on very often. He's got kind of a deceptive running style, great vision, and I asked him about it in the locker room afterwards, where that comes from, and is it just instincts? And he said he has no idea. He just runs to daylight, if you will. And that screen pass touchdown really opened up the game, and I think broke the backs and the will of the Buccaneers. It was one of those. I mean, right before that, wasn't that the play right after they made the big completion to Kobe Fleener?
They did a Kobe Fleener. Let's see, Drew Brees is pressured, and he must have pump faked 3 or 4 times. Had nowhere to go with the football. Then Kobe Fleener. Look, Kobe Fleener has been kind of in the Saints fans' doghouse, and I get it. You shouldn't pay that much for that tight end, but he's made plenty of kind of sneaky catches where they've gotten a first down. He did it. He got a first down pass earlier in the game where Drew Brees was in duress, and in that one, look, it was a huge play because it would have been 4th down. They would have punted, and the Tampa would have been able to maybe potentially come down and get a score. But look, Alvin Kamara does that. 55 seconds left in the first half, and don't forget, look, Alvin Kamara had fumbled the ball away earlier in the second quarter, so it's just like short-term memory, like as a cornerback. But Alvin Kamara, look, he's been the real deal, and he's been incredible.
Here's to put in perspective just what he's doing at such an efficient rate. He has 89 total touches in the first 8 games, 52 carries, 37 receptions, 652 yards, 5 touchdowns. By comparison, Ricky Williams, who came out of Texas as the Heisman Trophy winner, a huge prospect coming out, had 675 yards, so he only had 23 more yards in his first 8 games on 182 touches. Almost 100 more touches to get 23 more yards, and Ricky Williams, through 8 games, had not even scored a touchdown in the first 8 games. Reggie Bush, as good as he was, his first 8 games didn't score a touchdown.
Oh, I remember it was every question after each game with Reggie Bush, when are you going to hit the end zone?
Right. Yeah, and he only had 519 total yards in his first 8 games and 127 touches. So he had way more touches, way fewer yards, and that just goes into the point I was making. It's 7.3 yards a touch. Every time he touches it, he's almost getting a first down. It's really remarkable.
Let's hear what Sean Payton had to say after the game. It's a kind of a couple of questions smashed together, so I'll kind of let it go through. But here's what Sean Payton had to say after the Saints-Bucks game, 30-10 Saints win, about Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara's, after the fumble, obviously responded well. Just his game overall. How did you think he played?
We had a good drive there. The second half I thought was very important. We rushed the ball well today. The guys up front did a good job. And I thought that drive was significant. And Mark and he both handled it well.
On his long touchdown, you ran up the sidelines.
I was kind of fired up.
Yeah. Any reason you were more fired up than usual?
Just today I was fired up.
It's his ability to keep his balance and just after contact is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, he's got good vision, good balance, the ball security, we've got to get better at. We will, but, he was able to kind of put his hand in the ground and keep his knee from going down and deliver this big run. So our guys did a good job on that play.
And yeah, actually our former colleague over at ESPN, Mike Triplett, mentioning, he pointed to Max Unger, Josh Laribius, and Michael Thomas doing a really good job blocking downfield to kind of make that run happen after the catch. And look, when Kamara can kind of do a little pirouette spin move and keep his balance, and it's something to watch.
Yeah, I talked to him also. He's kind of started this Superdome tradition of a Lambeau leap type thing. And if you've ever been down on the field at the Superdome, that's no easy task. I mean, that wall is way up there to get to the stands. So it shows he's got about a 40-inch vertical. It shows you what kind of athlete he is to be able to get up even close to the fans.
Ted Ginn's doing that too, and you would assume, look, both of those guys, they've got some athletic ability to kind of make the leap.
There's no doubt. We saw Alvin Kamara leap over a Lions defender who his side, but also Drew Brees. So the offensive line, all these things working together right now, and it's justifying that decision to trade a second-round pick next year to get him.
I would say absolutely, no question about that.
Peter King wrote today that he would be justified in being the number 7 overall pick in the draft, much less 67th.
He's far outplaying Christian McCaffrey.
Yes,
in Carolina.
Yeah,
and of course Dalvin Cook's out for the year, and Now, look, Leonard Fournette, we haven't even talked about that. Guy misses a game. He's inactive because, what, he misses a team photo reportedly? I don't know.
And I would say this, in defense of Christian McCaffrey, if you plugged him in here, he might be doing a lot better. And if Kamara was in Carolina with that offensive line, sometimes shaky. But
not be as good.
That said, for a third-round draft pick, he's far exceeded expectations.
No doubt about it. Let's take a break right here on the show. I want to get some more sound bites in, and then we'll save the final segment. Look, we get so Saints heavy on this Monday show. And honestly, if LSU would have won against Alabama, we'd probably give it more play on the show today. I mean, what do you want? What kind of excuse you want me to give? Sorry,
it's kind of a boring game. I was there. I'll tell you what, atmosphere, Bryant-Denny Stadium, off the hook though.
Well, I would assume that, yes. And for LSU, I think they understand, even though it's not their primary rival, they understand it's always a tough game. So they got to bring the juice there at Bryant-Denny, and they bring it.
Speaking of bringing the juice,
your girl Deborah Gibson bringing it to you.
It's Tiffany.
Why do I always confuse those? What's the matter?
Because they're the same person.
I think you're making
somewhat
Glad to Glad happy, Dave.
There you go. So come on back, Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. I do make that mistake all the time.
It sound like their voices are very similar too.
Well, it's the same mall pop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could cycle them in and out and nobody'd notice.
Yeah.
Just Bruce Cap.
They could probably sing each other's songs and it would be like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Forecast with temps.
I'm going to admit something right now on the record.
Overnight lows.
I'm a big Go-Go's fan. I like the Go-Go's.
Oh, yeah, the Go-Go's.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Oh, okay.
High of 85. Wednesday at 83, and then finally Thursday a front moves in, dropping temperatures back to the 70s during the day and some 40s and 50s at night as we wrap up.
Belinda Carlisle the one that
in the
Bengals?
Meteorologist Bruce.
Well, Belinda Carlisle was the one that was kind of
the Exergen temperature
young,
scanner thermometer
kind of pudgy a little bit when she was in the Go-Go's, and she got older. And
I thought she wasn't in the Bengals or the Go-Go's.
I'm saying this on YouTube, and I'm probably going to get called out.
You are.
She became beautiful as she got older. Or she lost. I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
Became solo artist.
I'm not saying
had a good career.
No comment.
If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. See better, drive safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania.
Was there any other stars in the
Go-Go's?
Go-Go's?
Get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after.
Belinda Carlisle wasn't in the.
See farther and more clearly with Silver
So
Star
I keep saying the
O'Reilly
Bengals.
Auto Parts.
Or was she in the Go-Go's?
No, she was in the Go-Go's, wasn't she?
Restrictions apply.
I don't know.
She wasn't in the Bengals. The Bengals was Sheena
Easton?
No, not Sheena Easton.
Shania Twain? I don't know.
I gotta look it up.
Mostly highs for the NFC East. The Cowboys get a 28-17 win
Sheena
over the
Easton. She
Chiefs
sang that
in
song
Dallas.
with Prince.
The Redskins go into Seattle and defeat the Seahawks 17-14. The Eagles
they're all
pound the
confusing.
Broncos
I'm looking at the Bengals.
51-23 at home. The Rams hammering
Susanna
the
Hoffs.
1-7 Giants. 51-17
Yes.
in New Jersey.
I wasn't even close.
Suspension
I had an
most
S.
likely after a brawl broke out during yesterday's game between the Bengals and Jaguars in Jacksonville. Longtime Cincinnati wide receiver A.J. Green and Jags cornerback Jalen Ramsey both ejected just before halftime. Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis on what led to Green going after Ramsey.
Well, he was set off by something, and we'll keep that to what it was. I'm going to just not comment anymore.
Monday Night Football has the Lions visiting the Packers. NBA James Harden with a career-high 56 points. The Rockets top the Jazz 137-110. NASCAR, Kevin Harvick wins the AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. That's sports. Jay Corwin, NBC News Radio.
Atlantis, where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy. Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book by November 13th for the best winter rates at 1-800-Atlantis or AtlantisBahamas.com.
This week on Big Easy Deals, get a family 4-pack to the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas. At the aquarium, penguins, stingrays, sharks, and other deep-sea creatures await your visit. Get your family 4-pack for only $48 at FoxSportsAM1280.com. Keyword deals.
Put $1,000 in your hand. Win $1,000 every hour. Up to 16 times.
15 seconds.
Starting at 5 a.m. When you hear the keyword, text it to 200-200. Listen all day for a chance to put $1,000 in your hand on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
It's just another manic Monday.
Whether you ride the wave or like to growl, we're talking your teens. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Talking rookies. Alvin Kamara talked a lot about Marshon Lattimore. Let's smash through some of the sound because I don't want Dave to be mad at me that I made him cut all the sound and I don't run it, and because
He'd never be mad at you.
At least I get to him. Like, I don't say, like, it might be 3 segments later, but I get to him and I make sure I play all the ones that are still relevant to our conversation. Let's hear what Sean Payton had to say. Look, Justin Hardy is undrafted rookie, breaks through the line, blocks the punt, and really gets the game rolling. And it's something that the Saints, we've seen big plays happen as far as throughout this season, and now Justin Hardy is just another name to the list. And Sean Payton talks about him, but not just him, but the rookie class. Let's hear what he had to say.
You know, we're trying to play the best guys, and you know, a lot of them are younger guys, and some of them are more experienced. You know, I think with each game, you know, you're hopefully getting better as a team. There's still a number of things we got to be better at. You know, we got to be able to catch a punt in the second half, you know, without it being a fire drill. But I'm encouraged some of those young guys.
Now, Sean Payton actually today in his teleconference with the local media was asked about the punt return issues, and he says, look, they are on the prowl now for someone who they can at least guarantee can catch the football. And so maybe he looks and works out some guys. Who knows? But that is a concern that he is not oblivious to, and it sounds like they're going to try to do something at least to, because it's not like it's been this big asset as it is. So just make sure you catch the punt.
I think Tommy Lee Lewis' roster spot could be in jeopardy, because if you're going to make a change and you're going to bring in somebody just to be a punt returner, obviously Ted Ginn Jr. isn't going anywhere. And the fact that Tommy Lee Lewis really isn't contributing much as a receiver, if he can't make the team as a return man, I think he's going to have trouble maintaining a roster spot.
And I can't see them moving on from Willie Snead right now.
No.
Despite the fact that he has not been a real asset to this team at all. But you still feel like that he can contribute more down the line. Look, Willie Snead played more snaps than we've seen all year. He had, let me get the number, he played 18 snaps, 30%. So that's the most we've seen. But look, he's kind of been absent throughout this first half of the season.
I could see where if this continues at this current pace, the Saints will be in the receiver market in the offseason.
I would agree. Yeah,
you know,
I would agree.
Because other than Mike Thomas, you kind of got a bunch of question marks there for different reasons.
Right, exactly. And then, look, Brandon Coleman, he's on the final year of his deal, so I think they would be on the receiver market, A, either in free agency, or B, in the draft, or both.
And also maybe in the tight end market.
I wouldn't be surprised there either. When the Who Man's getting the most snaps because he's in there blocking. So, look, he's been in there a good bit as well. But let's hear more from Sean Payton, more on Marshon Lattimore and the rest of these rookies.
Right. Well, listen, we're not ready to just send them to the Hall of Fame right yet, all right? But the guys are competing. We're getting a lot of production out of this group, and that's encouraging. You know, because we're gonna need all of these guys. And but I like the level at which they're competing and the way they're playing.
I think he's right. They are going to need all those guys, and they're extremely fortunate that whether or not you're hearing a lot of times you're hearing Marcus Williams' name, but he's still getting the job done as, say, that center field free safety. He's not making mistakes. He's breaking up some passes here or there. And then even look at Trey Hendrickson. He's getting a lot of snaps.
Inside and out.
Inside and out. He played 35 snaps yesterday, 59% of the snaps. But let's be honest, it just goes away from anything we're talking about with rookies. I'm just looking at his name here. How good has Alex Okafor been these last, say, 4 or 5 games? He's been a real force, and it's almost like you sign him to that 1-year prove-it deal, and he's really kind of been a lightning in a bottle.
Similar to the way Nick Fairley was a year ago.
Agreed.
You give him kind of incentive to perform, and he's performed extremely well. And, Marcus Williams, even though he's not producing a ton of interceptions and big plays you think of, what he's done is allowed Kenny Vaccaro to move up to the line of scrimmage and play where he's most comfortable, and he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. So there's a huge impact on the whole defense by having that guy out there in center field.
Well, you could look at Marcus, and he is screaming out, making calls, getting people in the right positions, and if there are deep balls or anything, he's not out of position. He's in position to make it plays, and obviously that has plagued the Saints for how many years? As long as we can kind of, at least in recent history, remember.
Yeah, and I tell you, I think overall this rookie class, the amount of playing time that these guys are getting, it's ridiculous. I don't think any of us thought that these guys would be playing other than the top guys. So it's been, as Sean Payton said, significant.
Absolutely. But let's hear from Cam Jordan here as well. And you're talking about significant on defense. Let's hear what the big guy had to say. Look, what does he have now? 6.5 sacks. He's on pace to have his best single season mark in sacks. He has 12.5 was his or was it 12? I forget. One of the in 2013 he had 12 or 12.5. I
think 12. I'm
confusing. Junior Galette had 12.5 or 12, whatever. But Cam Jordan made the Pro Bowl there. He is on pace to top that with 6.5 at the halfway part. Multiply that by 2, that equals 13. So here's Cam Jordan on the success of the defense.
Our offensive, you've always put Drew in that category. We talk about how potent our defense is getting and how strong our defense can get. You can look at it, and it's a multitude of reasons why. You can see Sheldon Rankins in the middle of the D-line, communicating, keeping everything clear. You can see Alex rushing on the opposite side, clearly creating pocket presence, knocking out Jameis Winston in this game. I'm sorry, it might be a negative to those who aren't familiar with football. It's a violent sport. Things happen. You never wish injury on them, but if you can make these hits the way that our D-line has been eating, gotta love it. When you talk about young Marcus Williams and you talk about Marshon Lattimore, we're clearly playing way beyond their quote-unquote rookie year. I keep saying their rookie year because they're playing lights out right now. When you talk about Keenan Carl as a leader on their defense, this is everything that he's worked for. This is everything that we've worked for, and honestly, I hope it keeps going the next 8 games. That being said, we're 0-0.
Basically, Cam Jordan refuses to admit that they're on a streak. He's trying to find any way humanly possible not to say that they're on a winning streak. Now he's using the excuse that they're at the midpoint of the season, and he just erases it. Now they're 0-0.
I can't even go to Cam Jordan's locker anymore because he's so snarky, goofy.
Snarky, goofy?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Because he's on that stick right now where he's not acknowledging reality. He's trying to overcompensate for how well they're playing. So I moved on.
Well, I'll keep him.
I'm kidding. I mean, I don't have anything against Cam Jordan. I'm just saying if you're going to try and get somebody to speak to what's going on right now, he's not the best one to go to because he's trying to preach out, don't eat the cheese, the rat poison, all the stuff that Sean Payton has been preaching to this team.
But he mentioned Sheldon Rankins. He's playing better. David Onyemata, he's playing better.
Yeah, both
those guys are playing better.
I think the Pro Football Focus stats this week both highlighted Onyemata and Rankins. And those are guys it's hard to show up sometimes, so it helps to see some of those rankings by analysts that are focusing on them. And I want to get to these stats because I mentioned it earlier. The Saints are ranked 15th in total defense. It's the first time that they've been out of the 20s or 30s since 2013. 60 straight weeks they've been ranked 20th or actually I think it's 22nd or worse in the total defensive rankings. They're ninth. They're tied for ninth right now in scoring defense. They're number 2 in total offense, and they're, I think, number 6 in scoring offense. So, I mean, I don't know of any other team in the league that's ranked that high in all those critical categories.
And you add up all those reasons, and to me, and that's why I wrote the column I wrote, it's time to believe in the Saints. Why not?
Yes.
I mean, why not if you're a Saints fan? They've given you 6 games in a row. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They won a couple of games you didn't think they'd win. Why not buy in? And look, you could tell, like I said, by the Superdome crowd, it's significant. Let's hear what Cam Jordan had to say when I asked him about feeling the belief from within the dome and kind of within the city right now.
Do you get the sense that the crowd is believing in this
Oh my
team?
God! Wait, the crowd was riding with us. When we talk about throughout this whole game. They're clearly from New Orleans. They're clearly we got the same heartbeat. Now they might have got a little out of hand. I saw a Tampa Bay fan go down, Tampa Bay player go down. And again, you don't wish injury on anybody. But I look back and the fans are doing the wave. They started the wave, and as much as you try and bring calm that energy down for the 3 minutes to make sure that he's okay. Once he's okay, please by all means.
They did bring it back, though.
When they cut it off, they brought the wave right back. So I love the energy, I love the intensity, and that's something us as a defense has to be able to match.
I'm just saying because it just feels like they're believing. Like that is
No
that
doubt.
kind of the sense that you get.
No doubt. Everybody knows that Saints fans are probably the truest fans. Whether we've had 3 years of 7-9 or now we're sitting at 6-2, the energy level has usually maintained. Now it is all of a sudden hitting this surplus, and I appreciate every bit of that.
And the fact they feel it, I don't think there's any question about it. And look, even Tampa Bay, the crowd noise, they caused 2 delay games and caused all kinds of confusion for Tampa Bay. So look, all in all, midpoint, Saints 6-2, and they've still got a bit of a tough stretch coming up. Look, at Buffalo, home against Washington, who just went across country and beat Seattle in Seattle, and then you go to Los Angeles, the Rams, who everyone's saying is the biggest surprise team in the NFL. And if there were no Rams surprise, you'd probably say the Saints are the biggest surprise. But the Rams are certainly, I would agree, they are the biggest surprise in the NFL.
I think the one thing that I still am a little concerned with, and it reared its head yesterday, is the kicking game that we were praising kind of came back a little bit. I mean, we had a missed field goal, right, and then a block, extra point.
Yes.
They got to get that straightened out. That's actually what sunk the Seahawks yesterday. Blair Walsh missed 3 field goals.
Absolutely. So when we come back, I guess we'll fit in LSU Alabama. Jeff said it was boring. I'm wondering why people are so fired up over a 14-point loss that it's like sunshine and roses. They lost, and it still wasn't that close, even though, I don't know. I just don't get it.
Baby steps, Larry.
LSU don't need baby steps. They've won 2 national championships since 2003. What did they need? Does Clemson need baby steps?
Against Alabama, you take any progress you can get.
Man, that's what we're reduced to as far as following LSU here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
What were you saying earlier?
Josh Innes, afternoons noon until 2.
LSU controls its own destiny and everything. Now, they ain't going to beat Alabama. So they're playing for second in the West.
Boy.
Which, I don't know, I mean, again.
That's something to shoot for.
Yeah, we could, if you play hard enough, you can be second place to Alabama.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
O'Reilly. When it comes to vehicle safety, having poor visibility is a risk not worth taking. Get set for this fall's weather by visiting your local
Go-Go's,
O'Reilly
baby.
Auto Parts store during the season.
Yep.
You'll find we got the beat lights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see better and drive safer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
ABC Wednesday.
On one night,
Fleur de Lis.
I saw that, yeah.
That's
a good idea.
With performances by Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan, Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, Pink. And one-of-a-kind collaboration. Reba McEntire and Kelsey Ballerini. Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Maren Morris and Niall Horan. Plus, the biggest stars unite in the most powerful show open ever.
Don't you love country music?
the CMA Awards live.
Wednesday at 8/7 Central on it.
All right, 45 seconds.
The Scott Eli Jackson Foundation's Purple Purpose
Marcus
Gala
Cousins,
honors
7
those who have
three-point field
fallen
goal
victim
attempts
to
a game.
pancreatic cancer and shows support for those fighting the disease today.
That's what I want, my 6'11"
November
center
at
shooting
City
7
Park's
threes a
Parkview
game.
Terrace, with all proceeds benefiting the Scott Eli Jackson Foundation and its mission. It'll be a night of great entertainment and fabulous local cuisine.
Chad
Find out
just tweeted
more.
at you.
Go to thesejf.org.
Oh, no, he just tweeted me about Duncan Holder.
Around the world.
Tell him I'm going to just, every pick he gives, I'm just going to take it to the bank.
Three of the four horses he mentioned won.
In a single moment, you can help them write a new story. See potential, not...
Here we go.
I'm just going to hand you $20. Jeff, go make some bets.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
One more segment here on Dunc and Holder. If you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. And Jeff, LSU, they're still in the top 25 at least, according to the Associated Press. When do the other rankings come out? Tomorrow night?
Correct.
Tuesday night. And I'm sure Alabama will not fall from number 2 as they beat the LSU Tigers 24-10. And all I kept seeing is that, man, LSU's made all this progress. They actually scored a touchdown against Alabama. They kept it. They covered the spread. Let's celebrate. Why am I celebrating? Why? I don't get it. Why?
Well, nobody's celebrating. I think you're going a little extreme.
I would never go extreme.
People are encouraged that they're not getting just completely out-coached in these games now. I think people saw that LSU had Alabama on their heels a little bit. They were defensively, I thought, played very well at times and caused Alabama a lot of problems. I mean, Dave Aranda, he had some nice blitz packages, some pressure packages that Alabama wasn't ready for, and really had them kind of on their heels offensively as well. But I also felt like Alabama just got – you and I talked about it yesterday. I felt like they got the lead and just kind of controlled the game, and that happens a lot. So it seems like the game is actually closer than it is because they're basically just managing the score because they felt so confident with their defense. And I think that's what Gus Malzahn made the mistake of in the game against LSU earlier. He got that lead, and they felt like their defense was going to control the game. And you and I talked about this going into the game last week. We talked with Ron Higgins and Chris Dabe about it. LSU was going to have to make some plays in the passing game on the perimeter. They made a few. They just didn't make enough. They had too many opportunities blown. But Danny Etling had one where he had a wide open receiver he overthrew. I think they misfired on a couple other chances. You can't do that against Alabama.
I at least feel like you saw some diversity in the offense, and I understand why people would feel positive about that because it's been banging your head against a wall for years and years. You at least saw Matt Canada bring some diversity in the offense, and we talked about that going into the game. Why not throw as many wild and crazy things at him as you can within reason? Like if you're going to use the jet sweep, go ahead and use it a bunch of times. So what? And then you fake it and do something else. But I feel like the sense I got is that they at least opened the playbook and said, all right, we're gonna try to hit you from all kinds of different angles, and just some of it was just execution-wise, like you said. If they hit on one of these big passes, you might have a closer game, and it might have been tighter, and Alabama would have been really on its heels.
Yeah, I think Etling is just inconsistent because he made some big-time throws as well. I mean, a couple of them where he was getting lit up, and he put the ball right on the money. And then there were other ones where he had time and missed open receivers, or else a receiver would drop a ball. And that's been the curse of LSU for the last 5 years or so. Their passing game is not consistent enough in the big games to carry them. And I think to beat Alabama, a great defense like that, you got to have like an NFL caliber quarterback like Deshaun Watson last year. And you also have to have the athletes to match Alabama. LSU's got the latter. They don't have the former. And they haven't had an NFL caliber quarterback since, Zach Mettenberger? Was he even an NFL quarterback? I don't know.
He got drafted at least.
Right.
Matt Flynn, hey, he got a lot of money in the league for never really having to play like one big game. But yeah, look, and Jamarcus Russell, look, did they beat Alabama with him? I don't remember him winning a.
I think they did, yeah.
Maybe they did.
Because Alabama wasn't Alabama then, I don't think, were they? Was that the?
No, not yet. No, not yet.
Not like they are now. No, I mean, now, look, they've won 7 in a row. And I think the most damning thing for LSU fans is they haven't led at all in any of the 3 games. They've only led briefly the last 5 years. I think they've led by less than a quarter of the time in 5 games against Alabama. So they haven't been very competitive in these games. At least they were more competitive this time.
What do you make of putting in Miles Brennan in this game?
I didn't know quite what they were doing there. Just appeasing the fans or just getting him some experience. I felt sorry for him. I was on the field. You can go down the field the last 5 minutes. I was on the field, and he was under duress, let's put it that way. I mean, they were pinning their ears back and coming after him. It was pretty ugly.
Well, LSU now, taking on Arkansas? coming up here, 11 o'clock kick. I think you'll be covering that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be down. Arkansas looks like their quarterback is back, so that will be a little more competitive, I think.
Well, didn't they lose to Coastal Carolina? Am I right in that?
Yes.
Yeah, really competitive. If LSU doesn't win that game by 30, that's a disappointment.
Somebody pointed out that the next 3 games, LSU and Coach O could actually deliver the pink slip to 3 coaches in a row. Brett Bielema, Kevin Sumlin, Butch Jones, all 3.
None for Coach O, right?
They're all in the hot seat.
None for Coach O, right? No more hot seat for Coach O?
No, not for Coach O. He's doing a good job.
Now, I want to thank all the callers. I want to thank all the listeners on all the different avenues. YouTube Live was rocking and rolling, so got that going today, as we will every day. So, look, we'll touch more on LSU tomorrow, I'm sure, and we'll get the guests rocking and rolling tomorrow. So come on back tomorrow. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
All right, guys, good show.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you, bud.
Thanks.
That would be huge.
President Trump is enduring the most turbulent presidency in recent history.
Anyone getting him would be huge.
Reminding that was in 2008 when some lost